Meters all the way, playing proper football, the Sheffield United way. Ale, 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 ale.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sheffield United way. I hope you're all doing very, very well on this. I'm not going to say that word. I'm not going to say what day it is, and there's a reason for that, and you already know it. So I hope you're all doing well today. We are going to be talking about the issues at Bramall Lane and the issues running through this Sheffield United team. And the reason why I do that in air quotations for those that are listening on podcast is because Sheffield United are playing really, really well at the moment. Sheffield United are playing some really, really good football. And the other night, we just came up against a team that were also playing really, really good football at the top of the division, and they'd won more games in a row than us. So obviously their tails were up. So were ours. But they were just, for me, absolutely incredible. And the reason why I've mentioned that again is because on my match reaction, the more times I said that Middlesbrough were really good, the more comments we got from Middlesbrough fans saying thank you very much. And I've never liked a bunch of Middlesbrough fans more than I did after doing that video. So anyway, we're going to be talking about the small issues that we've got in the team and the reason why we're not necessarily at the level of a team like Middlesbrough. But they're the only team that in recent weeks have really caused us any sort of problems. And, it gives me a real excitement for the rest of the season, knowing that we are, playing some really good football. Anyway, I'm going to bring in the cavalry. Dylan, how's it going, mate? Welcome to the stream.
Evening, mate. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. You're in Finland at the moment, aren't you? So how are you enjoying that?
It's lovely, but I can't lie. I've not watched much. I've not watched many minutes of United since I've been out here. It's basically just been highlights. That's the one downer, but yeah, it's been lovely.
Well, I'm glad we've got you on to talk about this Sheffield United team at the moment. Anyway, Andrew, how are you doing, mate?
Not in Finland, in Sheffield still. So hopefully a little bit more keeping up to date with it. But maybe that's one of the problems. We've not got Dylan in the stands being that 12th man. Maybe that's the issue.
Exactly. How many away matches have you been to this season, Dylan?
I don't know how many. I know I missed 3 before New Year. And then I went away. But
I'm surprised you're not counting because you should really be counting with how many you're going to. That's bad on your part.
I'm going to that many that I can only actually count the ones I haven't been to. There's too many there to count.
That's a great point. Fantastic point. Way more than I've been to this season. But you are now elsewhere. But in this video today, as I've just mentioned, we're going to be talking about the small little details that need to be ironed out for Sheffield United to be sort of that top 2 team. And I know we're never going to get to the top 2, but actually we need to have top 2 form for the rest of the season if we're going to make something of it. And it's not just going to kind of fall by the wayside. So first of all, I'm going to go around the room and ask you guys where you think our slight problems are with this team at the moment, and then I'm going to run through what I think they are. So Dylan, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I saw it in the notes, and sadly, one of them is Michael Cooper at the moment. I thought he turned a corner. He put a few good performances in, but then these last 2 home games has just been little things that's made him stand out. But I mean, I shouldn't really be going in him. I think I'm just thinking about that because he's the first name on the team sheet. He's the first goalkeeper's going to be one of the first things you think of. I think. Let's have it.
Stop looking at the notes.
So no, I think of what was I going to say?
Andrew, do you want to take over?
Yeah, there's someone who's actually seen the games. That might make more sense.
I'm just shocked that there's these incredible notes. I thought we were just doing this on the fly. I've come unprepared. I think he's probably right to look at Coops. As he says, first name on the team sheet. But can I just say a remarkable camouflage effort he did in the box the other night with their keeper. I just thought it was the same person.
Yeah, he's got what was it? Got goalkeeper's got 4 arms. It was that's the reason why Middlesbrough are doing so well this season.
Well, I think him and Sol Brynn need some sort of DNA kit or something. I think there's probably a relation there. I don't think it's just the yellow kit, but I think he's probably, as we've all said, and they say in the ratings videos as well with Ollie that he's maybe on that sort of step back from last season, but you always have to preface that with how good he was last year, and so that gives him a high standard to try and meet. And there's also other positions that I'll sort of come to, but I'll see if Dylan's thought of anything now.
Okay, one close to my heart is Sam McCallum. He was this season. He's become my favourite player, and now he's out for 10 weeks, which is just a massive blow. And I mean, if you'd gone back 6 months and I'd said that, you'd have thought it was crazy because Burrows was top 2 left backs last year, possibly the best in the league. But yeah, he's just not been on it this season, and I think this is Burrows' opportunity now. But yeah, McCallum's injury is a massive one for me.
Yeah, I think that it looked very innocuous when it happened, and I didn't think anything of it at the time, but I did think it doesn't look like he's been challenged there. I remember earlier on in that game, McCallum got a big challenge in the box where he had a shot and someone flew through him, and he jumped up after that one and obviously hobbled a little bit and then continued his run. But yeah, that one was a real sad one, and that's one of the points that I wanted to bring up is the left back position. And as you mentioned, Burrows not at the level as he was last season. Technically, he was the best left back in the league because he got in the team of the season. I thought he was under par against Borough. I don't think he was terrible. But I do think the whole defence was not as good as they have been. And there's a reason for that. Borough are really good going forward. They were cutting through us a lot, and especially our midfield, which is another position that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But Andrew, I want to throw this at you. He's now our default left back, isn't he, Harrison Burrows? Do you see him keeping his spot? And it's hard to say that because we haven't seen Leo Hjelde play much up to now, but do you see him keeping his spot?
I mean, one thing I would say watching the game, I think as he went on and he got sort of into that second half, he struck me as a player that was trying to almost get back into it. Some things just aren't going for him this year, and that's obviously come from a lack of game time. I think there was an opportunity for him to win the ball, and he did win it on the sort of right-hand side of the box, which proves to me that he's sort of coming out of position. He's desperately kind of wanting to have that moment of, it's the same as last year, but something's just not quite clicking for him, and hopefully it does. On Hjelde, at the very least, I think he offers a long throw-in that we've missed since Robinson left. He seemed to, I didn't know he had it in his locker, but they seem to get launched into the box. So, maybe that's a point where he gets to have a go, and then we get to see how he is as a defender. I would be tempted to start him because I don't think he put a foot wrong in the limited time he had. So, and I think he's a bigger presence, I think, than Burrows, who, when you're coming up against second division strikers, you do get that you need that bit of physicality, not just in the centre backs, but in your wide men. And, not to say Siriki isn't, but there is like levels to Hjelde, Siriki. And I think he just gives you that option to also rotate into that back three as well in transition and things like that. So I'd give him a go and see. There's not much sort of wrong with doing that, really. It's a position you can change left back, I think, without much of an issue to the overall system.
Yeah, great point. And you're talking about the profile of him. Obviously, he's a bigger lad, bigger frame. I wanted to throw a question at you, Dylan, one that you can answer. Are you happy with the kind of profile that he is? Obviously, he's completely different to Harrison Burrows, but we still don't have that pace. Burrows, small guy, don't have that pace. Hjelde, big guy, doesn't have that pace. Did you want a bit more of a pacey wing back so that it's a bit more balanced? Because obviously Sariki's bombing down one side. Or are you happy with how the balance is of the team?
I think the main thing when we were signing Hjelde would be that we're looking for a left back. I think the balance with Burrows would be more important. So, like what Burrows lacks in pace, if we could then replace that with someone off the bench who did have pace, I think that'd be more important than a balance of pace between the flanks. I don't think that Sariki being a lot faster than him is an important thing, because they're playing on totally different sides of the pitch. You know, if one of them's got the ball, one of them's advancing, the other one will be able to keep up. So that's not a major thing for me. But yeah, I mean, we went into this. We played Millwall not long before the deadline when McCallum got injured, so that did not leave us long to find a replacement. And so yeah, I think we've done fine with Leo Kjeld.
Yeah. Good. Before we move into our next position, I just want to pop Adam's comment on screen. We weren't going to talk about the playoffs, but seeing as though Adam so kindly brought it up, do we think the season is over realistically? And I think he's obviously talking about playoffs or not, or is he talking about relegation or not? Who knows? But I think we're playing way too well right now to even think about relegation. Like, it's not about the players on the pitch, and if our squad is too good to go down, as they say quite often, I just think we're playing way too well to go down, and we should be looking up. And I think we will, advance up the division. It's whether it's too little, too late. What do you think, guys? I'll throw it to you, Andrew, first.
That Borough game was important, and I think all games are important from now on, really, in that regard. Wrexham had obviously lost at Millwall, which is a 5th versus 6th clash. So it leaves you that door open. And for a club like United that's trying to get in any way they can, sometimes it's not a problem if 5 teams run away with it, as long as that 6th one is available. So it was the perfect time to maybe make that gap really sort of surmountable. But, it was tough with Borough, is the thing. I think before the game, I thought that points tally is closer than I thought it was. It seems close. It seems achievable. So I'd be hesitant to rule it out completely, just because it was Borough, who I think everybody said this week following that game are probably the best team the Championship has this year. So it would be unfair to rule it out, but it's the amount of time that, like you said, maybe there's just not enough time now to pick the points up. While, the Championship is a close division, lots of teams will be picking points up in that mid-table sort of area and having a push themselves. So it's a long-winded way of saying I'm not sure, and I wouldn't like to place my bet.
I don't think any of us really know. We're just kind of we're guessing right now, because if we'd won that Borough game and we were 5 points, because I believe I think we'd be 5 points behind 6th place at this point. We are still 8, which actually 8 doesn't feel too bad. I know we've been 11, 12 and 13 a month or so back, so 8 doesn't feel that bad. But when everybody's playing each other and picking up points and dropping points, we just need to keep winning games of football, and that's the main thing. And actually the fixtures are quite favourable to us, I think. So we've got Portsmouth next, away from home. Obviously every game in this division is a potential banana skin, other than Wednesday, obviously. But we've got Wednesday after that as well. There's not even any. I don't see a way of Wednesday even, scoring a goal against us. Never mind winning the game of football.
Make it so much worse if they did. And this
it physically can't happen, I don't think, right now. But and if there's any Wednesday fans watching that's clipping this, it can. So we've got Portsmouth, we've got Wednesday. That's 2 very winnable games. I'm not saying we're going to, but they are 2 very winnable games. And then if we win those 2 games, going into Coventry at home, we're going to be full of, full of beans. I reckon we can take it to them like we did Borough. And I actually think if we'd have played Coventry instead of Borough and we played as we did, I think we'd have probably beaten Coventry. I think we'd have probably beaten any team in this division other than Borough. And it's just a shame that it was Borough. And I actually didn't realise how good Borough were, to be fair, until I saw them in the flesh. And I don't think you ever do until you sat in a stand and you can see from one end to the other and see how they move, how they, pass the ball so quick as well, because we were just chasing shadows at points in that game. And that's nothing against us. It's more in how good they are. And yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a Borough team this good in the Championship. And I actually said in the match reaction, I probably should have caveated it with in the Championship. With, I think, Dylan, you replied to somebody on TikTok about this. I said in the match react that they're the best team I've seen at Bramall Lane for some time. Obviously, I meant in the Championship because even Burnley didn't pass through us like they did when Burnley went up. When we went up with them, and even last season, Leeds and Burnley, I don't think they passed the ball anywhere near as good as what Borough did at Bramall Lane. Really, really scary. Anyway, Dylan, I'll throw it over to you. Finally, I've been rabbiting on for so long. Do you think there's any chance of the Blades getting into those playoffs?
Never say never, but I'm not holding out any hope at the moment. We will see. 8 points is very easy to, well, it's not easy, but we can make that up if we really kick on. But I can't see us doing it. But I definitely don't think the season's over either. Like, my money would be on, we'll just peter out, finish somewhere around 12th, and then rebuild and go again next year. But yeah, the season's not over. There's always an outside chance. If we get a couple of results, if a couple of results go our way, then who knows? But I'm putting it at maybe 5-10% chance of reaching the playoffs from this point.
Yeah, it's funny how, like, I do the same thing. We lose a game, it's like, oh, it's all over. And then you go and win a couple in a row and you're like, there's a chance. But you just can't lose those games, especially at this point in the season when we've got so little points compared to those above us. Anyway, let's move on into talking about centre-back now. And this is probably not a position that I think many people would have expected me to talk about. I think that Borough game just showed how easy it was for them to play through us, not just the defence, but the midfield too. But it made me wonder, are Tanganga and Bindon a top 2 centre-back partnership? Because I think they are the best centre-backs that we've got at the moment. But are they Harry Souttar and Anel? Are they, I'm trying to think of other partnerships that we've got promoted with, Egan and Jack O'Connell. Are they at the level that they need to be at? Say we started the season right now, everyone on 0 points. Would you be happy with those two being our centre-back partners for the season? I'll throw that to you first, Dylan.
Yeah, I'd be happy with them being our pairing. I'm not sure if they're top 2 in the division. They're definitely our top 2 centre halves, but yeah, good pairing. Wouldn't put them in the same league as Anel and Souttar, but I mean they're way better than like McEvely and Hammond, for example. Yeah, good pairing.
What about you, Andrew?
That was a low blow. There was no need. No, I think, Tyler Bindon especially. I mean, even the other night, I think he looked really good, especially towards the end when they were sort of chasing that second goal. Even when Rothwell got sent off, I think he looked like he was... something that surprised me was how good his distribution was. I think he was... everyone sort of points out Phillips to Harmer to Bamford for the goal, but there was some very insightful, thoughtful passing going on in terms of trying to get the ball forward. And I think he's going to go on to be a very good defender, and it suggests to me that he's always had it, but maybe there's been a lot of work put in at the training ground on how to maybe adapt to this level, as it's a level he hadn't really done before. And he seems to be taking that on the chin and really sort of pushing on. Japhet Tanganga I've got no issue with, because he's slightly opposite in that he's got more than 100 games under his belt at this level, so he's that experienced head that you'd want. You do miss the aerial presence of Souttar, but any team would, because it's a very sort of niche thing to have. Harry Souttar is a very sort of unique player. Maybe Helder could be even close to that, maybe if they put him inside, because we know he can play centre-back as well. So maybe that's a route if you did the concern really in that position is the depth. I think, not to disrespect Ben Mee, because he's clearly been a brilliant player in his time. But we've maybe seen since he came back from that injury that he's not at the races just yet. And Mark McGuinness has to play with one of Bindon or Tanganga just from a sort of speed point of view and a turning point of view.
It's funny you should say that, because Ben Mee was one of the first defenders on the team sheet before his injury. And I wonder if he'd not got that injury, if he carried on his trajectory. And Tyler Bindon, he was very much fourth, maybe even fifth choice at one point, because as you said before, earlier in the season, he wasn't the player that he is now. And like you said, they've probably worked on that with him. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't completely write him off after he was, poor at the start of the season. But I didn't expect, this sort of rise from him. And it's really good to see, because he seems like a really nice lad. And, he's doing all the right things at the moment. He's a modern day centre-back, definitely. But he also don't mind sticking his head in too. I'm not 100% sure whether they are a top two pairing. But, you've convinced me there, Andrew. I think we are in very safe hands with those lads. I think the only things that I wanted to bring up at the time was kind of, obviously, Borough. They didn't quite look at the races in that game, in my opinion, especially in the first half. They got ran through a few times. Wrexham conceded 5 goals in that game, but that was a bit of a mad one. And I think we've certainly learned from that. We've conceded 5 goals in the past at home, even against no, I'm thinking of a different one. But we have conceded 5 goals this season. Yeah, I think they've all learned from the mistakes. I think we've got a really solid defensive line now. But as we said, left back could be a slight problem. We'll move into central midfield now. And I think we all have been a little bit worried with, speaking for myself, Peck and Arblaster in the midfield together. A lot of people, sort of their opinion being that they're too similar. We need a defensive destroyer in there, someone that's going to stick the boot in. And I know Peck loves a challenge. I know Arblaster does get stuck in as much as he can. I think he's probably still a little bit worried about getting injured. It's always going to be there, I'm sure, with such a bad injury coming back from. But I think if it wasn't for this being Phillips's, first game in however many, or he's only played 7 minutes this season, and Rothwell, not playing too many minutes either, I don't think Peck and Arblaster would have played together in this game. Do you two, I'll go to you first, Dylan. What do you think in regards to Peck and Arblaster playing together? Do you think they can play together? Do you think they'll ever play together well, or do you think there always needs to be that buffer?
I think they're two very good players, but they don't get the best out of each other. Not the way that like Gyro got the best out of Peck. And when he's back from his injury, I would want him starting most weeks. Depending on how well Phillips and Rothwell play when they get going properly. Yeah, they're very good players to have, very good to have in the squad. But yeah, we probably need someone else in there. How did Phillips get on Monday, by the way?
I'll let you answer that, Andrew.
Yeah, I think he looked as you'd expect a former England international to look who hadn't played many games. When he had the ball at his feet, he was sort of spreading it around quite well, looking a bit more composed than what we'd had on. But equally, if you'd have probably stretched him across 90 minutes, he'd have probably been run ragged with the rest of the group. So, I think after a couple of games, I would not hesitate to start him once he's kind of got himself up to speed. He looks a class above what we had, probably in a similar level to, as you said, with Gyro. I think he'll bring the best out of they might bring out the best in each other, or out of Peck or Arblaster who go next to them. So
yeah, good times. Yeah, I'd imagine that in a few weeks, once he's fully back to speed, then I'd probably want him starting most weeks, and then Peck and Arblaster can fight for the shirt every week based on who wants it more, who's been putting it in training, and that should hopefully get the best out of both of those if they really got to compete.
Yeah, I also think, going back to that Borough game, if you would have, I think everyone's looking at it thinking, we shouldn't have started those two together. But Rothwell did look like he was blowing really, really early into coming on. Obviously, that challenge, which we'll probably get on to talking about in a minute, was probably down to the fact that he struggled to get to the man. And that's worrying for me. I don't think Phillips really had that We had that worry with Phillips. But as you say, they were passing through us so much. If Phillips would have started that game, he'd have probably gassed out after 45 minutes. So it's probably for the best that we brought him on. And actually, I never realised that bringing Phillips off the bench, I was thinking, oh, he's just going to be there to be steady, to win the ball and give it to somebody else. Obviously, we know he's a good footballer, but I didn't realise how influential he would be in that midfield, winning that ball and getting that ball high up the pitch for us to really go at them. So I was really, really impressed. Obviously, that's a bit silly saying when he's been an England international and, you know, been signed for 42 million in the past, and even very, very good for Leeds as well in the Championship and the Premier League as well. But, you know, really, really impressed by him. And I actually think he will play against Pompey. But we'll have to wait and see. I think Pompey aren't particularly, you know, one of those teams that's maybe going to cause as many problems as some of the teams at the top. So maybe they will go Peck and Arblaster again and, you know, bring him on with half an hour to go, something like that. What do you think, Andrew, after seeing him?
Well, I think it's a different game, isn't it? Like you say, coming up, in that you might need to break the team down rather than it coming at you. So one thing I'll give Chris a lot of credit for was there was clearly a sort of tactical impetus in terms of going at Borough the other night and sort of matching them up, basically. Obviously, there'd be more thought in it than that, but that's the basics of it. So maybe Phillips could start because it might be a game where his passing is useful and his going forward is useful, but you might just then leave Peck a little bit isolated with him, because if they both want to kind of, if he's happy to sit in and sort of spray the ball about, then that's fine. But if they both want to bomb on and join the attack, then, you know, you leave it a bit more vulnerable at the back. And as we've just said, there's maybe not that pace there. So I do think it's maybe, I really do want to just sort of preface it with, I do think it's commendable that Arblaster's come back as sort of quickly as he has and played as many games as he has. But now with the options in, it might be fair on him just to sort of ease him back in whatever way the club sees fit, because I think you can see he's trying, but like you say, there's obviously going to be the sort of psychological element to that, which we can't understand, we can't claim to. And so maybe it's just a case of you let Phillips come in and then maybe Ollie comes back in a few games and or comes off the bench, and it just gives him that bit more time to get used to it. I think we'll see the best of him probably next season now, to be honest, because it should all just be put with that sort of asterisk of it's going to take him probably as similar amount of time again to come back to his best as he's been out, because, you know, and I don't think anyone's being overly harsh with him, but there has been some, you know, comments that I do think are unfair and aren't going to help him.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Could not agree more, because I've heard some comments too, and it's really not fair. Like you say, he's putting his body on the line. He shouldn't be having to play or even having to start games right now. He should have been eased in carefully, but, you know, injuries have dictated the fact that we've had to bring him back in, and fair enough for putting his hand up, as Chris Wilder always says. So yeah, got to commend him for playing as much football as he is doing, and I actually like him coming off the bench as well, because he's got that brain and he's got that vision of and you know, he's got the execution of finding that, you know, that killer pass. So I don't even mind him coming off the bench. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in the next few games. But I just thought I'd bring up that central midfield. And I think the thing is, we're probably discarding Rothwell for a bit now, because, you know, he did that silly challenge. He's managed to join Charlie Goode in the one game, one red card Hall of Fame, which is ridiculous to think that. But, you know, it was a silly challenge. It was very, very reckless. I think sort of 10 years ago, that wouldn't have even been thought of as a red card. It would have been just, oh, he's mistimed his challenge, which I think he did. I played football last night, and one of the lads was saying to me, oh, at first I thought he was just, you know, missed the challenge. But then when I watched it again, it looked really like he was trying to injure him. I don't think he was trying to injure him for a second. Alan Brown was trying to get away from him, and he was just trying to win the ball. And I think if it had been a bit quicker, he would have won that ball. I think a lot of other players probably would as well. But, you know, I think that he'll come back like a new signing. I know he is a new signing, but we'll probably forget all about Rothwell, and then he'll come back in a few games' time, and he'll show us what we've been missing in the last few games. So yeah, silly thing to do. And I hope when he does come back, he offers a little bit more than what he did in this game. So let's move on into talking about the creativity, because I think one trick that we did miss was bringing in so many midfielders and not enough kind of quick wingers or tricky wingers. Romain Eze would have been nice to have brought in from Palace. That would have been nice to have seen on loan. Obviously, he's gone to Coventry. Why wouldn't you when they're a team towards the top end of the Championship? I actually find this crazy how we've managed to attract so many talented footballers to Sheffield United when we are nowhere near the top 6 or even the top 2. So the fact that we've got the players that we have, but I just would have liked to have seen one more exciting player going forward, and probably on that left-hand side, because it seems like Ogbene's going to play on the right-hand side if Wilder, wants to play him there or wants to play him. Chong was playing on the right-hand side. It looks like he's going to be moved across to the left. So I don't know. Dylan, do you trust those two enough to be kind of like that spark to come off the bench if we need something, a little bit different?
Not entirely. I think the odd game they can produce something, but I wouldn't be excited about them being the options off the bench. I was saying on the deadline stream the other week that I did want another forward in, whether that be like a number 9 or whether it be a winger like Cleary from Barnsley. But I don't think it's a massive issue. Like where we are at the moment, that probably would have required a fair bit of money for a team that isn't really going to go anywhere this season. So yeah. I'm okay with where we are in that situation. But if we were more serious about the playoffs, which I don't think we should be, to be fair, or if we were trying to build something long term right away, then I think we definitely could have done with another option there.
Yeah, same. What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I think the problem is obviously how good Andre Brooks has been is kind of a problem in terms of looking at the depth, because you're kind of taking off arguably the best player at the moment for a player in Chiedozie Ogbene who's got a goal recently, but I think everyone has like a slight doubt with him, and it's not fair on him, and it's not a knock on any supporters in the ground, but there is probably that bit where Brooks goes off and you go a bit like, why? But you understand that, substitutions have to be made. So yeah, there's that concern that there's that drop off, and I imagine there's a sigh of relief when Brooks does go off, if that's fair from the opponents, because I think he causes them a lot of problems. As does Siriki. I thought Siriki was really good in the opening sort of 15 minutes before they got their goal. The way he got to the byline a few times without even needing to pass the ball to anyone, he just sort of dribbled through. In an ideal world, if you had a better right back to cover him, I think you could say, oh, maybe you give him a go up on that wing and see how he does. But left-hand side, yeah, I do. I think that left-hand side's the worst part of the team, not because of the players, just because of the balance it gives. If the right-hand side's going forward so often, you want the left-hand side to maybe be a bit more defensive, and without Sam McCallum at the back, then you've just not got that at all. Really, with how Harmer plays, he almost plays that second number 10 sometimes, and it leaves you a little bit light, and there's nobody on the bench that can play on that left-hand side. And perhaps in that sense, there's nobody in the squad that can in an effective way that means that you're not detracting something from the overall sort of parts of the team.
And Adam mentioned it earlier about leaving Burrows exposed at left back with how Harmer plays. And we want him to play like that. We don't want him to... I don't want to see Harmer in our half, really, because he's not effective there. He's effective when he's in the opposition's half. But maybe that's another reason why Burrows has struggled this season as well, because... And I think to a certain extent last season as well, I don't think he played really well. I think he hid the fact that Harmer left him high and dry, stranded sometimes. And I think he coped with it really well. But when he's not particularly playing well and he's not getting that much help from Gus, I think it's going to obviously have an effect on him. But yeah, I think that, we want to keep Gus doing what Gus does best. Maybe Hjelde is the right man to sit at left back and not move, not get forward. And, that could end up being a really, really good signing for us. And you never know, it might be the best signing we make. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, a lot of people in the comments talking about, how I think it was Blades Insight saying 3 games in a week, and we're right back in it if we win all 3 of them. Adam is, going a bit crazy here. 10 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses. However, we have been playing well. We have been winning lots of games of football. I don't know if 2 wins and a loss from now until the end of the season will get us there, but it'll get us around there, I think, which is what I think we'll end up doing, because we don't draw many games of football, and I think we'll win more than we lose. Quickly go through a few more comments. Sam, we've got them at 12 again. We keep playing them at midday on a Sunday. Just a strange coincidence. I think what I wanted to bring up, there was a comment before from Stephen King, great name, is that there was not much wrong with United. It was just that they met Kim Hellberg, and that's what we said at the start of the stream. I want to just bring that up again. That we're being very negative in this stream, but if you've just joined us, all you'll think we've done is been negative. We were talking very highly of the team earlier on in the video. Right at the start, we were saying we played very, very well against Borough, but we just come up against an unstoppable force. And actually, we could have nicked a draw out of that game. I don't think we'd have deserved it, but I really think we could have nicked a draw, because we pushed them back. And even at 10 men, I've seen some people saying that Rothwell threw our chance away of getting back into that game, but actually I still think we're on top, even with 10 men, which I never saw coming even for a second. I'll pop Hal's comment on screen. Wish I was as positive as Statman Adam. When it comes to the playoffs, I simply won't mention them. No, I think the thing is we've got to keep mentioning playoffs, haven't we? Or what we're talking about. There's no point. We're just gonna end up, just sleepwalking into the close season. So before I leave you guys, I just want to throw out there what out of all the positions that we're speaking of, what do you think's the best part of Sheffield United, and maybe the weakest part of Sheffield United? I'll go to you first, Dylan.
Oh, like position.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this might sound strange because we've just been talking about it as almost like a weak area, but I think that holding midfield, we've just got so many options there. They all bring us different things, and it's to the point where we've got that many options that I feel like it might start to harm certain players' development. Like if Simare can't find a spot in the first team regularly, then that might sort of slow him down. Same with Arblaster and Pex. They're quite young. But yeah,
does it matter about slowing Samare down? As much as we like him, he's not one of our players, is he?
Not exactly. But like before Christmas, when he had a good run of form, I was thinking that he could be a key figure in the team. But now that's not going to be likely at all. Not really because of anything he's done. He's just been really inconsistent and not managed to nail that down. So we've got more players in, and he's going to be left by the wayside, I'd imagine. But yeah, that's probably my favourite position at the moment, just because of the options.
Andrew, we've not even talked about your boy that's not even got a mention on the squad for Sheffield United in Shackleton. He's been left out, hasn't he?
Yes.
Why is
that? As I always refer to him as my boy.
It's just you brought him up earlier, and I thought
I brought him up earlier because I just thought it's worth mentioning. But obviously he's not been registered with the squad for the upcoming sort of 15 games that are left, which is a shame for him. I think he would have probably pictured it going better than it has since he's joined United. It's probably telling that that's going to come to the end in the summer. But yeah, I don't know. I think I was surprised to learn that apparently he has played 3 times this season, because I can't remember when those were, and that's not to But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have to defend him now, and I don't really know much about him. So
Because he's your boy.
he's my
your
boy. So I think
there's a few though, isn't there? There's Samari, as Dylan's just said. There's Tom Davis, who's out injured at the moment. He'll probably come back before the end of the season. He'll probably get injured again. I think he'll certainly be on his way out. But there's a lot. That's three more midfielders, including Samari, central midfielders that we've not spoken about. Obviously, I know Shackleton will mostly play right back when he is fit and Wilder wants to pick him. But it's just crazy how many central midfielders we have on the books and we are paying at Sheffield United at the moment. But I'll swing back to you, Dylan. What's the weakest point of Sheffield United's team? You were talking about that being the strongest, the central pair, but then maybe the weakest? No, not the weakest. I'm confusing me and I'm confusing you here. You talk.
What, that was saying that midfielders some are the strongest and the weakest position at the same time?
Yeah, I think you were more talking about the fact that it's bad for the development, weren't you?
Bad for individuals. Yeah, weakest area. I think in terms of depth, wingers, but we do have good players to start there. I feel like the number 9 position could be an issue going forward, like if Bamford, if his goals dry up, which honestly I've got no idea. He's played really well, but for all we know, it could be a purple patch, or this could be his level and he could keep firing. But like Tom Cannon is surprisingly solid as he's been recently. It's I'm still not completely sold. I don't have full confidence in him yet, just because of how long it took him to get there.
Do you see Tyrese coming back strong at all this season?
I couldn't imagine him doing that this season because I just don't think he'll get the minutes. Like if Bamford got an injury and he was suddenly our starting number 9, then I could maybe see him playing his way back into form. But even then, there's a big asterisk over that, and I'm not sure. So yeah, I just think that the number 9 position, it could, Bamford could keep firing and we could be totally fine there, but it could fall down quite a bit. That's my worry.
Do you see us going back to a 2 up front for any reason? Because obviously the 3 behind the striker at the moment seems playing really well. Other than obviously changing in game, do you see us going back to 2 up top?
Not permanently. We've been playing some brilliant football with one forward, but yeah, like you say, changing in game when we need to could definitely suit. And I mean, there could be certain games where we're up against like a big physical centre half pairing, and we think maybe we want 2 up front to try and rough them up a little bit more. So maybe depending more on the opponent than depending on our play style. But I'd say 1 up front should be our go-to.
Excellent, thank you very much. And I'll throw it back to you, Andrew, before we leave everyone for the evening.
Touch on Campbell. He is still the club's 3rd top goal scorer, which either says something about the squad in terms of goals, because we talk about how many goals we've been scoring recently. But I think the fact that a player that hasn't played many minutes in the last few, especially as the results have been improving, does suggest that we probably do need a few more to rely on in terms of goals. I think, Bamford is almost sort of so integral now to what we do as a football team, and whether or not the ball goes in the net, which is the most important thing. And so I would be a little bit worried if he got injured. I think that is the position where, with left back, as I said, I think you can sort of make do enough, especially when you're not facing maybe one of the more front foot sides. But going forward, if you can't put it in the net, you're not going to win the games. And as you said earlier, we don't draw many. So then what's going to happen? It's most likely that we do need another striker next year, is the important thing. I think a lot of this is not a criticism of what's going on now, but more so the fact that stuff does need to still be done in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we do get into a position where, playoffs are impossible, I think we've got to start leaving the loan players on the bench and looking at what we're expecting to have in the door next season, because we've got a lot of loan players as we did last season. We probably need to look at playing into form players that we haven't necessarily been playing. I don't know. There's a lot of chatter behind, from fans that the owners aren't going to be ploughing money into the club next season, which I can completely understand. We're losing our parachute payments. But, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to do some wheeling and dealing. We've got a load of players that are worth a load of money. So, you never know. We might be seeing a completely different setup next season. I'm sure they won't do the silly thing and sack Chris Wilder again. So hopefully Wilder gets the money if we do go and sell someone, and Wilder, works his magic once again. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gents, for watching us. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Andrew. It's been a wild ride this season, and I don't want it to come to an end, obviously, because we want to keep winning games and keep getting up that division. But yeah, it's certainly going to be a fun one anyway. So yeah, thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Andrew. Really appreciate you joining me, and we'll catch up with everybody else soon. Up the Blades.
Thanks, guys.
3 meters all the way, playing proper football, the Sheffield United way. Ole, ole, ole.